Focus on your goal. 1. Your goal is your campfire. I've spent enough nights out under an open sky to know the worth of a campfire. In the daylight, it's just a thought in the back of your mind, but once the sun starts slipping behind the ridgeline and the air gets cold, it becomes everything. You can almost taste the coffee that'll boil over it, feel the warmth on your face, and hear the wood popping. That fire isn't just a convenience, it's safety, rest, and the promise that you made it through another day. Your goal in life ought to be like that, not some half-hearted wish you barely remember. It's got to be something you can picture in your mind so clearly you could paint it. You've got to see the end before you get there, not to spoil the surprise, but to give yourself a reason to keep going when the trail gets mean. There's an old trick when riding through open country: pick a landmark far ahead and keep riding toward it, no matter what. Hills, rivers, and valleys may shift your path, but that landmark stays put. Life's the same way. Your campfire, your goal, is that landmark. Now here's where most folks get it wrong. They think setting a goal is just about wanting something. But a campfire isn't lit by wishing. You've got to gather wood, find tinder, strike a spark. Same with your dreams, they take work, planning, and effort. You can't just sit under a cold sky and complain about the dark. There will be times when you lose sight of it. Dust storms roll in, fog covers the valley, and you'll wonder if you're even headed the right way. That's when memory and conviction matter. You've got to remind yourself of what it feels like to sit beside that fire. The smell of the smoke, the glow against the night. Hold on to that picture in your mind like it's the last piece of warmth you've got. A goal worth having is one you can love before you touch it. That love is what keeps you moving when your boots are wet, your muscles ache, and your canteen's nearly empty. The truth is, there's going to be distance between you and your campfire for a long time. And there will be moments you'll pass by smaller, easier fires along the way, ones other folks have built, ones that look inviting. But if it's not your fire, you'll never feel at home beside it. You'll sit there feeling like a guest, maybe even a trespasser, until you get up and keep moving toward your own. A lot of people get lost because they never decide which fire is theirs. They drift from place to place, sitting at the edge of other folks' goals, wondering why they still feel cold. You've got to choose yours, and once you do, don't let anyone talk you into trading it for something smaller. When you finally see the glow of your campfire, for real not in your mind, but flickering on the horizon, you'll know every mile was worth it. You'll ride in tired, worn, and maybe a little beat up, but the moment you sit down by that fire, you'll realize something important. The warmth you feel doesn't just come from the flames, it comes from the journey you took to get there. That's why your goal has to be your campfire. It's the thing that pulls you forward through the cold and dark, the thing that makes all the dust and distance worth it. Keep it in sight, keep it in your heart. And no matter how rough the trail, ride toward it like nothing else in this world matters more. 2. Distraction is the quiet thief. There's a kind of danger out on the trail that's more dangerous than a storm or a wild animal. Storms announce themselves. You can see the black clouds building, smell the rain coming. Predators leave tracks, shadows, and signs. But there's another kind of trouble, one you never see until it's too late. That's distraction. It doesn't come riding in with a shout. It doesn't roar or stomp its feet. It just shows up quiet, almost polite, like an old friend passing by, asking you to walk a while in another direction. I've watched strong riders lose weeks, even months, chasing things that didn't matter. They weren't lazy, they weren't weak. They just took their eyes off the trail for a little too long. Maybe it was a side path that looked easier. Maybe it was a patch of shade that promised rest, and little by little, they found themselves farther and farther from where they meant to go. Distraction doesn't just steal your time, it steals your focus, your momentum, your sense of direction. And the worst part, it doesn't take much. You don't have to wander off 20 miles, just a small turn in the wrong direction, and the longer you walk, the more lost you get. Out here, if you're riding toward a landmark and you veer even a little, you can end up in the wrong valley entirely. That's how life works, a tiny compromise in focus just for today. Just this once can put you somewhere you never meant to be. The quiet thief knows that. It doesn't try to take your whole dream at once. It just asks for your attention for a little while, and then again tomorrow. And before you know it, the sun's gone down, the fire's out, and you're a day's ride behind where you should have been. In the modern world, distraction comes dressed in more colors than a snake in sunlight. Gossip, comfort, doubt, too much talking, too much scrolling, arguments that don't matter, even chasing small wins that look like progress, but aren't moving you toward your true goal. The thing about distraction is that it feels harmless in the moment. You'll tell yourself, I'll get back on track tomorrow. But tomorrow comes, and the thief is still there, smiling, holding out another detour. I've had days where I lost hours watching the clouds instead of patching my saddle. Felt good at the time, peaceful, easy. But later, when the leather tore halfway through the ride, I realized the price. That's how distraction works. It lets you feel like you're getting away with something until the bill comes due. If you want to keep moving toward your goal, you've got to guard your focus like it's gold in your saddlebag. Keep it zipped, tied, and under your arm. Don't hand it to strangers. Don't set it down while you just look over there. That doesn't mean you can't rest. Rest is part of the ride. But rest with intention, rest that renews you, not distracts you. There's a difference between taking a breather beside the trail and wandering off into the woods to chase every bird you hear. The best way I've found to beat distraction is to keep asking myself one question. Is this getting me closer to my campfire? If the answer's no, then I ride past it. Doesn't matter how pretty it looks, how sweet it sounds, or how easy it feels if it's not on the way, it's in the way. And I'll tell you something, the more you practice this, the sharper your focus gets. After a while, distraction stops looking like a friend and starts looking like the thief it is. You'll see it coming, and you'll know when to tighten the reins and keep moving. The world's full of things trying to pull you off your trail. But they only win if you let them. Stay locked on your landmark, and let the quiet thief go looking for someone else to rob. 3. Ride with blinders on when you work horses. There's a piece of tack called blinders. Small leather cups that fit alongside the eyes, keeping the animal from seeing too much to the side. City folks sometimes think it's cruel, but it's not, it's mercy. See, a horse without blinders can spook at every flicker and shadow, waste energy dancing sideways, and tire itself out before it's gone a mile. But put blinders on, and it sees only what's ahead. It moves steady, straight, and with purpose. Life's not much different. Without your own kind of blinders, you'll notice every distraction, every criticism, every shiny thing someone waves in your direction. Before long, you're side, stepping down the trail instead of riding forward. Riding with blinders on doesn't mean you're stubborn or closed-minded. It means you've chosen your path, and you're not going to waste time staring at every fork and wondering if maybe you should take it instead. It means not letting every passing opinion knock you off course. I've been in towns where folks talk more than they work. They'll sit around on the porch all afternoon, discussing how you ought to ride, what gear you ought to use, and whether or not you'll make it at all. If you try to answer every voice, you'll spend your whole day defending yourself instead of moving forward. Blinders keep your eyes on the trail, not the peanut gallery. The truth is, not everyone's going to like your direction. Some will think your trail's too rough. Others will think it's too lonely. Some will tell you to slow down. Others will tell you to hurry up. If you try to please them all, you'll ride yourself in circles until your horse drops from exhaustion. When I say ride with blinders, I mean protect your focus like it's the last clean drink in the desert. Keep your mind away from things that don't serve your journey. That could mean turning down an easy offer if it's not in the right direction. It might mean cutting loose a few travel partners who want to stop every mile and argue about the route. Blinders also mean refusing to measure your progress by someone else's ride. Every horse has its own pace. Every rider has their own load. If you're looking sideways at how fast someone else is going, you might push too hard and wear yourself out, or slow down thinking you've got time when you don't. And here's the hard part. Sometimes the things you need to block out are good things, just not the right things right now. A rider on a different trail might invite you to join their camp for the night. Sounds nice, feels friendly, but if it pulls you off course, it's still a detour. Riding with blinders means saying no, when you need to, even to good folks. It's not always easy. There's a temptation to look around to make sure you're keeping up with the world. But the more you do it, the more you'll see that straight. Head vision brings peace. The trail feels simpler when you're not trying to see everything at once. Blinders don't just keep you from looking at distractions, they keep distractions from looking at you. When you're steady and quiet about your work, you draw less noise. Folks see you moving, and they either fall in beside you or get out of your way. In the end, riding with blinders is about trust. Trust in your goal, your preparation, and your ability to keep the course. You don't need to keep checking every horizon. You just need to keep your hands steady on the reins and your eyes locked on the path ahead. You can't ride two trails at once. You can't chase every sound you hear. Pick your road, fit your blinders, and ride until the sun sets. When you get there, you'll be thankful for everything you didn't see along the way. 4. The trail won't wait. The first thing you learn riding open country is that the land doesn't care about your schedule. The sun rises and sets whether you're ready or not. The weather turns without asking if you've got shelter. Coyotes don't check their watches before coming down from the hills. Out here, time moves whether you move with it or not. Life's the same way. The trail won't wait for you. If you're standing still, you're already falling behind. I've met folks who say they're waiting for the right moment to start their journey. Waiting for the weather to clear, waiting until they have a better horse, waiting until the stars line up just so. Problem is, while they're waiting, the days keep slipping away like water through cupped hands. And one day they look up and realize the trail they meant to ride has already grown over with weeds. Truth is, the right moment is never going to walk up and introduce itself. The trail is never going to pause and give you a perfect stretch of flat ground with no wind. You've got to start where you are, with what you've got, and trust yourself to handle whatever comes up. I've ridden in the rain, in dust storms, and through nights so dark I couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. You learn quick that moving forward, even slow, beats standing still and hoping conditions improve. Standing still only guarantees you're stuck in the same place tomorrow. The trail's also got a way of changing while you're on it. Rivers swell, paths wash out, tracks disappear under fresh snow. If you think you can take your time and still find the same road waiting for you, you're mistaken. The world doesn't freeze just because you decided to rest. And here's another thing. Opportunity has a short fuse. Sometimes you'll see a crossing that's perfect shallow water, firm banks, good footing. Wait too long, and that same crossing becomes a roaring, impassable current. Life's full of those moments. If you don't take them when they come, you may never get them back. Now, I'm not saying you should charge forward without thinking. Planning matters, but planning too long can turn into stalling. There's a fine line between being prepared and just avoiding the first step. You've got to be honest with yourself about which one you're doing. The trail doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're scared. The sun's going to keep moving across the sky, and the shadows are going to keep stretching long, whether you've taken your first mile or not. That's a truth worth holding close. Hesitation won't slow the clock. I've known riders who finally decided to move only to realize they'd missed their season. By then, the grass was brown, the streams were low, and the passes were closing with early snow. They weren't bad riders, they just thought the trail would be there, waiting for them, like a loyal horse tied at the hitching post. But trails don't wait. They change, they shift, they vanish. If you've got a goal, you've got to treat it like it's on the move, because it is. Every day you delay is another day the distance grows. Another day the weather changes. Another day you'll never get back. I've learned that when you feel that pull in your gut, that nudge that says go, you'd better listen. Doesn't matter if the skies are cloudy or your saddle squeaks. You tighten the cinch, mount up and ride, because the trail's not going to slow down for you, partner, and one day you'll either be telling stories about how you caught up to it, or how you watched it disappear over the horizon. 5. Comfort is a false friend. There's a kind of friend who will pat you on the back, pour you a drink, and tell you to sit down and rest a while. They'll say you've earned it, that you've done enough for one day. And maybe you have. But if you listen to that friend too long, you'll find the days turned into a week, the week into a month, and the fire you had in your belly has cooled to ash. That friend's name is comfort. And make no mistake, it's a liar. Comfort doesn't announce itself like trouble. It sneaks in wearing the clothes of kindness. It wraps you in a blanket and hands you a full plate, and before you know it, you've lost your taste for the trail. I've seen good riders fall into this trap. They come into a town to rest for a night or two, and the beds are soft, the meals hot, the company easy. Next thing, they've taken a job sweeping floors or stacking crates, telling themselves they'll ride out when the weather's better, or after saving a little more money. But seasons pass, and that horse they came in on has grown old in the stable. Now, don't mistake me, rest has its place. You can't ride from sunup to sundown every day without breaking something in yourself. But rest and comfort are two different things. Rest is a pause with a purpose, a short stop to water your horse, patch a saddle, or let the muscles breathe. Comfort is staying put because it feels better than moving. The danger with comfort is it whispers sweet lies. It tells you you're safe here, that the trail is hard, uncertain, and maybe not worth the trouble. It shows you all the little pleasures you'll have to give up if you keep going, and it doesn't remind you of the rewards waiting at your campfire. The truth is, nothing grows in comfort. Muscles don't get stronger on soft beds. Skills don't sharpen when you're sitting still. And dreams, they fade like old paint when they're not worked toward daily. The worst part is how comfort changes your mind without you noticing. At first, you miss the trail. You think about it every day. But after a while, your body gets used to the ease. You start thinking maybe you don't need to ride all the way to that goal. Maybe it's fine to just stay here. That's the moment comfort wins, when you stop longing for the campfire you set out to find. I've learned to treat comfort like a saloon on the road. I'll step inside, warm up, fill my cup, maybe swap a story or two. But I never hang up my coat and stay. My boots stay pointed at the door, my mind on the next mile. It's not that comfort is evil. It's just that it's greedy. It wants more of your time than it deserves. And if you give it too much, it'll take everything, your momentum, your hunger, your edge. The trail is where you grow. It's where you learn what you're made of, where you test yourself against the wind, the rain, and your own doubt. Comfort takes that from you. It keeps you from finding out how strong you could be. So if you find yourself too at ease, take that as a warning sign. Ask yourself when you last pushed yourself hard enough to feel the strain in your muscles and the fire in your chest. If you can't remember, it's time to get moving, because comfort might feel like a friend now, but when the years pass and you're sitting in the same chair, telling the same stories, wishing you'd finished the ride, you'll realize it was never a friend at all. Just a thief dressed in warm clothes. 6. Your life depends on it. There's a way you move when something's just important. And then there's a way you move when your life's on the line. The second one is faster, sharper, and without hesitation. You don't look for excuses, you look for answers. You don't ask if it's possible, you make it possible. That's how you need to treat your goal. Most folks treat their dreams like an option, something nice to have if it works out, but not something worth bleeding for. They'll say, if it happens, it happens. But that kind of thinking won't get you anywhere worth going. When I'm riding with the last of the daylight and the wind's turning cold, I'm not thinking about maybe getting to camp. I have to get there. If I don't, I'll be out under the open sky in freezing dark, maybe miles from water. In that moment, my survival depends on reaching that fire. And because my life depends on it, I don't slow down. I don't get distracted. I don't question if I should have taken another trail. I just ride. Your goal should have that same weight. Not because you'll die without it, but because the part of you that's alive inside will wither if you don't reach it. See, there's a quiet kind of death. Most people don't talk about the death of their drive. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small surrenders. You give up a little here, delay a little there, until one day you're breathing, but you're not living. That's what happens when you treat your goal like a hobby instead of a necessity. When you know your life depends on something, you don't wait for permission. You don't let fear hold the reins. You act, and you act now. That urgency is what pushes you through the hard parts, the lonely miles, the aching muscles, the nights when quitting whispers in your ear. I've been caught in storms where my hands were so cold I couldn't feel the reins, my coat soaked clean through. And I still pushed on because stopping wasn't an option. That's the mindset you need for your dream. Quitting is simply not on the table. This doesn't mean you ride recklessly. It means you ride relentlessly. Every decision, every step, every ounce of effort goes into moving you closer. You work tired, you work sore, you work when the mood isn't there, because moods are fickle, but necessity is steady. You've got to make your goal a matter of survival for your future self. Picture the person you'll be if you don't make it, the regrets, the what-ifs, the stories you'll never get to tell. Then picture the person you'll be when you do, the pride, the freedom, the peace that comes from knowing you didn't give up. Which one do you want to live with? When you decide your life depends on it, you stop bargaining with the trail. You stop saying, I'll go if it's easy. You go because it's hard, because you know hard roads lead to places worth arriving at. The truth is, your dream isn't just about you. Someone down the road may be someone you haven't even met yet is going to need the version of you that comes out on the other side of this journey. They're going to need your strength, your wisdom, your scars. If you quit, you rob them as much as you rob yourself. So ride like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. The life you want, the person you're meant to be, the fire you've been chasing through the cold and dark. Don't stop until you get there. And when you do, you'll look back and realize you didn't just reach your goal. You saved yourself along the way. Keep riding toward your fire when you strip it all down. This ride we call life comes to a few simple truths. You've got to know where your campfire is. You've got to guard it from the quiet thief of distraction. You've got to ride with blinders so you don't waste time looking sideways. You've got to understand the trail won't wait for you. You've got to resist the false friend of comfort. And you've got to treat your goal like your life depends on reaching it, because it does. Every mile you ride shapes you. Every choice to push on instead of turn back makes you a little stronger, a little sharper. And when you finally see that fire flickering on the horizon, you'll realize something important. The real prize isn't just the warmth waiting at the end. It's the rider you became getting there. The trail's not going to be kind. It's not going to make room for you. But if you stay locked on your goal, if you keep your reins tight and your eyes forward, you'll get there. And when you do, you'll sit down by that fire, cup in hand, knowing you didn't wander, you didn't stall, and you didn't let the easy way pull you off course. You'll know you rode true, so don't wait. Don't look back, and for the love of all that's worth living for, keep riding toward your fire.